Welcome to Coffee with Sarge. Pull up a chair here at booth 7. The coffee's hot, and there's always room for one more. Around here, we talk about trucking, careers, and some of the decisions drivers make along the way. Sometimes the best lessons don't come from a classroom or a company handbook. They come from experience. And tonight, I want to tell you about a driver who was ready to walk away from his job because he'd had one bad week. The driver sat down across from me at booth 7 one night and said, "Sarge, I'm about ready to quit my job." I took a drink of coffee and asked him one question. "What's wrong with it?" For the next 10 minutes, he told me everything that had happened that week. Dispatch gave him a load he didn't like. He sat too long waiting to get unloaded. He didn't get the miles he wanted. Then he got into it with somebody in the office over his home time. When he finally finished, I looked at him and said, "No, I asked you what's wrong with your job." He just stared at me. So I asked him a few more questions. "Do they pay you what they promised?" He said yes. "Do they get you home when they're supposed to?" "Most of the time." "Is the equipment decent?" "Yeah." "Are you making enough money to pay your bills?" "Yeah." So I asked him, "Then why are you quitting?" He didn't have an answer. Here's the thing. Sometimes you've got a bad job, and sometimes you've just had a bad week. You need to know the difference. I've watched drivers quit good jobs because they got mad on a Tuesday. They clean out the truck, turn in the keys, and by Friday they're sitting at home filling out applications. Then they find another company. A few months later, something goes wrong there too, so they leave again. Before long, they've got 4 jobs in 2 years, and they're wondering why the opportunities aren't as good as they used to be. Now, don't misunderstand me. There are absolutely times when you need to leave a company. If you're not being paid what you were promised, if the equipment isn't safe, if you're constantly being lied to, or if the job simply doesn't work for you and your family anymore, then maybe it's time to make a change. But make that decision with a clear head, not when you're angry, not when you're sitting at a dock that's already wasted 6 hours of your day, and definitely not 5 minutes after you get into an argument with dispatch. Take a breath, go home, sleep on it. Then ask yourself the same question I asked that driver at booth 7. What's actually wrong with my job? Because if you can't answer that question, maybe you don't need a new company. Maybe you just need a new week. Well, that's about all the time we've got tonight here at booth 7. Thanks for pulling up a chair and having a cup of coffee with me. If you've got a question or a story from your own time behind the wheel, leave it in the comments. You never know, we might talk about it right here at booth 7. And be sure to come back and see us next Tuesday night for another Coffee with Sarge. The coffee will be hot, and I'll save you a seat. Until then, drive safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you at the next truck stop.